That's
Yep.
Hey folks, thanks for coming in. I hope you're all well and you're all very welcome. I hope you're staying safe during these times. Hi Gillian and Nicole, good to see you. Tonight we have Natalie from Ghost Ramblers in. I've been with Ghost Ramblers for quite a few months now, and it's a fantastic group. She knows her stuff, and she's a fabulous photographer as well. So thanks for coming in, Natalie.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, good.
Good. Can you just tell us a wee bit about yourself? You know how you get into the paranormal and whatnot, the witches. You know how it all started, basically.
Well, with the witchy side, kind of always have been anyway. It's just part of my life, really. Always loved Halloween and the spooky stuff. Always kind of liked, all the ghost stuff, but only got into it about 4 years ago now. Started to get all the equipment together, started to do a few investigations, get the channel out, and I just really, really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed going out. Loved the communication. Even better if you can find something, get a connection. So it's just something that I really, really enjoy to do as well. And I do have a very big passion for it.
So what kind of drew you to the paranormal? What kind of, clicked the wee switch?
Experiences when I was a kid, and things that happened to me with the paranormal as well. When something happens to you and you can't explain it, but you know that it happened, and you try and logically weigh up in your head, what could this have been? And there is no logical explanation apart from the paranormal. And I think that's what really got me into it and really drives me, is the things that I have experienced that you can't explain through any other way other than it being paranormal, really.
So that's what kind of kicked you off with it,
Yeah, definitely.
Because debunking is quite a big part of paranormal. We think, you need to look for the sort of logical before you look for the paranormal, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
I think there's too many teams out there today, no disrespect to any of them, but they tend to just jump on the paranormal straight away.
Yeah.
If they hear a twig snap or something like that, that's a spirit. So how did how did your group and that start off? How did you get off the ground?
Well, I actually started with my cousin, which was a few years ago, but unfortunately we don't work together anymore. So I work now with my friend that I've found. She kept posting things on Instagram, and I thought, well, I've been there. That's right by me. So it turns out she lived up the road from me the whole time. So we go out on a lot of investigations together, and I'm still kind of building my team slowly. I've got a couple of friends who really enjoy coming out. So I'm still, still trying to find my way a little bit with teams and stuff. Obviously, with everything that's gone on this year, all the plans I had have gone out the window, i.e. locations, starting up, doing ghost hunts on a monthly basis with being able to bring other people in as well with me. So yeah, I've got to start again from scratch next year. But I did start a couple of years ago now. It's just always been something I've always been interested in. And I think if you really, really do enjoy the paranormal, it kind of keeps you hooked. There's just something on it you can't really shake off of it.
I know what you mean. I've been interested in the paranormal for 25, 30 years or something. I started off, it was like horror films and what have you. But as a teenager, I was right into horror films and blood and guts and ghosts and that, and it just kind of progressed through there. And then wee things started to happen to me. Stuff like back then, it was like we didn't have mobile phones, it was landlines, and the landline would ring, and I could tell you who was phoning. I would say to my ex-wife, that's your mum on the phone. And it would be, and she'd say, how do you know that? It's like, well, I don't know. I just know who it is, and that's what kind of spawned my interest in it. And then I went to see a medium about 2 years later. For 2 years, I kind of shrugged it off. And about 2 years later, I went to see a medium, and everything she told me was absolutely bang on. And then that was me. I was hooked ever since. So your thread, is it Carly? Your thread, the one that comes out, the girl that comes out with you.
Yes, sorry. Yes, you went a bit funny then. Yeah, it's called Carly. She's a medium as well. She's very good. She's very good at picking up on spirits, and she's very good at communications as well. So I really have enjoyed going out with her, because it's been really good fun going out with somebody who's got this same kind of energy. And when we go investigating together, because we're both witches as well, it kind of brings a lot of psyche energy into it, and I think it makes our investigations a bit more powerful as well, if you can understand what I mean. But yeah, she's very good. I've seen her when she's been on investigations, and we did an investigation for a family a few weeks ago, and the way that she was picking up who she was picking up at the time when we were speaking to him was really spot on with everything she was getting as well.
Because I remember that photograph you posted of the building, and excuse me, and I says to you about the woman that was staring down the downtown. I can't pronounce it. Downtown Alley, Abbey, kind of woman, and you commented back that Carly picked up on the exact same, the same look, staring down, very serious, kind of, not very nice, kind of snooty, kind of thing. Yeah. But as you say, this year, I mean, I know we've been trying to get down to you for months now, but obviously with everything that's happened, it's just no came about, so we've had to scrap a lot of investigations. We're still going to do them. We're still, they're all planned, and it's just getting out there,
It's just for everything to go back to some kind of normality, isn't it, really?
If we get back to normal, if we get back to kind of, I think you tend to forget what normal is.
Yeah.
It's been going on this long, and it's not been a good time for anybody, but for the paranormal, I think everybody's in the same canoe, basically, so what's your kind of scariest experience with the paranormal investigating? You ever been in an investigation and sort of... That's no me.
It was me.
That was you. Sorry though. Your investigations, have you got any that kind of really stick out?
I've had a couple when we've been investigating. We've had candle thrown across the room when we was with Haunted Finders up in Nottingham, which was quite a dramatic one. And we did actual not table ticking, we did glass divination. And that was very interesting as a paranormal investigator, and as somebody who's got, kinetic energy, that this glass was moving and moving. It didn't scare me, but it was one of the best investigations I think I've been in, because as somebody who's a paranormal investigator, blah, 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 it was really good to have that glass movement without, I could see the other people that were there weren't moving the glass as well. I know I wasn't moving the glass, but did feel extremely drained afterwards. I don't think I've ever really had a scary experience, because I know it sounds a bit weird, but I actually enjoy the scary side of it, and it doesn't scare me, if you can understand. If I was to have something that came through the spirit box that somebody would interpret as, being evil or something like that, for me personally, I don't find it too scary. I think I'm more interested in trying to find out how I can help that spirit to either pass over, move on, because I believe that spirits can be angry. They can get caught in an emotion maybe that they had in their life which was traumatic, that can kind of distort who they are, so they may need help. I think the most scariest one I've been in, to be truthful, is when I was doing an investigation and we saw a shadow go across the gravestones and it moved real fast. But as we noticed, it was an actual person that was actually walking by, so it wasn't a ghost. And he sort of carried walking by in the graveyard in the pitch black, and went, "Oh, it's dark in here, isn't it?" And then carried on to a grave. That was the scariest because I did think, why is that guy in the graveyard in the dark, walking around with a bunch of flowers?
Right. Did Nicole get a question for you?
What did you? I got into the Hi Nicole. I got into the paranormal. I had an experience at my grandmother's house. It was a very haunted house, very strange house, very weird things happening all the time. So I had experiences in it anyway. I would move things and put them in particular places, and they would move. I thought it was my brother, so I used to do it again when he wasn't there, and they would move. I had a friend over, and I got woken up in the night, and I thought, well, I could hear water, and it was hitting the carpet. You know that water, the sound it would make as it was hitting the carpet as it
Yep.
went.
A dull
So
thud kind of.
yeah, I got up. To be honest, I thought my friend was stood up peeing on my floor because I could hear it. So I got up and I waited, and it was going and going. And then I went over to the side, I whacked the light on, and it just stopped dead. And my friend was sat up in her bed looking at me, absolutely terrified. I dived onto the floor and I was feeling around on the floor because I heard it hitting the floor and there was nothing there, no wet patch, no water, but it was coming from the middle of the room, and I know
Mm-hmm.
what I heard. But I have no explanation. My mum told me at a later date that when she was a child, she would hear the back door open and somebody would walk up the stairs and then nothing would happen. She'd be terrified, waiting for it to kind of open the door or something, which has also been confirmed by other family members saying they heard the same thing. So that's what really got me into the paranormal, was my grandma's house, and yeah, how incredibly spookily haunted it was.
You picked up another sub there, Natalie Gillian. So she just sub to you. Anyway, I was going to check it. The links in the chat, folks, and Natalie's channel and our Facebook page as well. Go and give it a good once over because it's really, really worthwhile.
Thank you.
I did. I know you do get about it. I mean that in a good way. Not you do get a lot of places. I do. I love you. I know I've been with you for months and months, but I do love your page because there's always different locations. Oh, there's Tayami's our daughter. She's saying hello.
Hello.
She's obviously still up and kicking about. You see, you do, as I say, get around quite a lot of places. Where do you get your ideas from? For locations.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm so lucky where I live. It's such a historical place. It's right on the Severn River. So you've got the Severn crossing. It's right where all the Roman invasions were. It was one of the biggest ports in the 13th century up until the 1920s. All the ships would go up the river as well. So it's a very historical place where we live. We live by the Forest of Dean, so you've got all the coal mines up there. We live literally in the mid. We've got a very beautiful place that we live, and there's so much history to it. So you don't really need to go too far to find it. From where we are, there's a lot of stories and stuff of things that have happened as well. So there's not a lot.
The Forest of Dean.
So much.
Sorry, no. The Forest of Dean, was that the Witches Woods? I remember that video you put up a couple of months ago now.
No, that's the Witches Woods is not far from my house. I believe that I'm picking up on spirits that were killed during the Roman invasion. That's the feeling that I got from it. I wasn't particularly looking to go there. I just got very drawn to the woods. So went there on an investigation and picked up some really good responses. So I'm not really sure what's there, but those are not that far from me, and it's a very strange woods, and it has a very strange pull to it as well.
Because that video, when I was watching it, I was getting some kids, but I was also getting kind of like teenagers, basically. Maybe not teenager, but maybe early 20s as well. It was quite a strong video, you know. Even just watching it does kind of pull you in. Just starting watching it, and so when we eventually get down, there's one place we definitely like to, to go and visit. So your photography, I know you love your photography.
I do.
What got you into that kind of?
I've always wanted to do it. So yeah, it's only been in the last 5 years probably that I've started to do it, and I really do enjoy it. It's I love to take atmospheric photos.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to capture a lot of emotion in my photos, a lot of either beauty or spookiness, which is great. It goes in well with the paranormal as well, because obviously you can catch up on a lot of things on camera as well. But it's always been something that I wanted to do, and I've just started to do over the last couple of years, and I'm kind of really enjoying it at the moment.
Like you do put a lot of photos, and a lot of they're all kind of amazing.
Thank you.
Did you ever look right into the history? I don't know the name of the church, because I know you don't put a lot of location names on your photographs, which is good in a way. There was a church that you put up, a graveyard, and I was telling you, there was like plague victims there. There was, a mass grave nearby, and I think it was a minister, if you remember it. I picked on workers in the graveyard and the fields around, and there was some kind of disease, whatever. And did you find out the history? I was always curious about that.
Yeah, that is St Mary's Church in Tinton, which is about
Mm-hmm.
20 minutes down the road from me. It actually burnt down in the 70s due to a fire, and some boys lost their life. So there's a lot of speculation of it being haunted by them. But personally, on my investigations, I don't think that it's haunted by them at all. But I do think that it's got a very historical place. Actual place, Tinton has Tinton Abbey, which had
Mm-hmm.
the monks in it, which is also a haunted location. The whole bowl of Tinton as a whole is very, very historic, and has got a very big, I believe, a paranormal pouch, I would call
Mm-hmm.
it. So obviously the plague did rip through Monmouthshire in the 13th century and did decimate pretty much most of the town. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the monks used to go, apparently there's a tunnel from the abbey up to the church,
Mm-hmm.
and they go under the tunnel as well, to get up to the church for solace as well. So I think everything that you said is kind of tied in with the history of the place too. um,
Mm-hmm.
the Black Plague, the monks, the workers, because it would have been a farmland. Also, you had the river going through there, the River Wye, which
Mm-hmm.
takes you up to Hereford and all those other areas. So it's a very busy place historically as well. Where just down the road from Tinton is actually a place called Brockweir, which was full of pubs and places for sailors to stay. Um, and they actually built a church there because it was such a terrible place, and it was just, you had all your brothels and you had your pubs, so they built a church there to try and actually stop it being so terrible. So that's also a very good place, literally down the road from Tinton, as well. So like I said, there's just so many historic places in this area. We're quite lucky.
Mm-hmm. So there's RPI. Do you use protection before or after investigations?
I do white lighting. I've been doing that for a long time now. um so, and many people do it in many different ways when they go for an investigation, but I do a lot of white lighting. I think that it's very important that you put that energy around yourself when you go into an investigation, because you don't know of what kind of thing that you were going to be speaking to. You don't know the circumstances. It could be a spirit, it could be an elemental, So you do need to make sure that you give yourself some form of protection when you go in and then when you leave as well.
Thank you, though. Another location I want to ask you about is getting back a few months now, anyway, the mansions.
Yeah.
You put up photographs when it was the bar area and then it was the cellars and up. I picked up on 3 spirits standing together, but also a separate woman
Yeah.
and a male down in the cellar. Some kind of,
Yeah.
it must have been some kind of storeman or something. And there was I picked up a connection between him and the lady that wanders about upstairs. I'm not saying they were married or anything, but there was some kind of relationship.
I think you're right. I think it's probably the caretaker or maybe the butler and what I think maybe the head of the maids and everything as well. Because maybe then that's how they're connected in the way of, because they always seem quite not angry but agitated or frustrated, that we're kind of on their turn, kind of like, what are you doing here kind of vibe that you get from them. So yeah, I think you could be right with them two being connected on that kind of level as well.
It was quite strong. Hi Patrick, and everybody else has come in. Shadows of the Moon. The 3 spirits that were in the barrier, I think it looked like a barrier. They were quite strong because I picked her name right away. Just looking at the photograph, it's as if you could just see them standing there. They were quite strong. Did you pick anything up about them?
I've got the photos of because you said about the 3 spirits, and I've got the photo of the 3 shadows that were taken in the basement. I get a very uneasy feeling in the basement that something happened that shouldn't have happened. Something happened to a female in there. I've experienced a female in there as well, a female spirit. We've heard footsteps when we've been there. We've had lights flash off. We've not managed to get any EVPs from down there, but I do get a very sort of repressive feeling in certain areas of the cellar that just aren't very comfortable, if you can understand.
I mean, you've done loads of cases, you've done loads of photos. I know I've commented on a lot of them, so it's hard to kind of remember. You remember all of them, but to try to pick individual ones out, you tell what one. There was another one. It was like a tunnel, a corridor, and I picked up in soldiers walking along it. They were quite strong as well. I don't know if you remember it or not. So I don't know the name of the location for it.
No, I don't remember where. I think that's also in Tinton. There's a tunnel that goes from Tinton underground, obviously, to Tidnam, which is sort of rare. It's in the area. So that was actually blocked off before. So they've actually they haven't reopened it yet, but it's being reopened in April because they've actually done it so that you can walk through it because it's been shut off for many years. I've had some experiences in that tunnel which have been strange. EMF meters going off. We kept having the number 6 come through the spirit box continuously over and over again when we did our investigation there, and it kept mentioning children. So it could have been used in the war as well because there was a prisoner of war camp up in Lydney, which was not that far from us, and I think there was a prisoner of war camp down in another place that's not so far from us. So it could be true that there were soldiers around there at the time as well, and using it to get basically from A to B in a quicker way.
So basically, your whole area is just steeped in history.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, all the photographs you put up of the churches, the castles, even like fields. I mean, I pick up quite a wee bit for them, but you could just sense, that that way when you just look at a place and you just sense that there's hundreds and hundreds of years of history.
Yeah.
It just seeps everywhere. So when you go into the paranormal and you're witchy stuff, how did your friends act? Did anybody think you were kind of weird or?
Well, I am weird, but I don't really care. It's me, and I think my friends accept me for who I am. They know I'm a little bit of a weird, and they've never said anything to me about it. They know what I'm into, and they wouldn't be my friends if they didn't really just crack on and
Mhm.
let me do what I do. And they've never took the mick out of me or anything for it.
So they never seen you as a kind of devil child, no, or don't get near her. She talks to ghosts, and like you see in the TV, you get the kind of things people trying to, keep them at arm's length. Don't get near her, you'll die or something like that. There's nothing.
No, do you know what? With being a witch as well, I've had a lot of a lot of people in my life who know what I do and everything. They'll ask me to do spells for them, light a candle for them. So to be fair, no one's ever done that to me. No, so maybe I've got to experience that yet, but I've been quite lucky because I haven't had to.
Maybe it's still to come. You've got a liquid splash on your camera lens. What? That's Andy. He's nuts.
Oh right, well, I've wiped it. That's as much as I can do, Andy. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Andy. I don't know. Andy's nuts.
Did you ever get poked, touched, or scratched? Um, well, not really on an investigation. I've had a very weird experience one night where it was a very, very strange experience. I don't quite know what happened. It was before I proper protected my home as well, I think, that I actually woke up in the morning with bruises all over my arms and a bruise across my face. And I can't remember what happened. I can just remember being asleep, being sat up, and then I can remember hitting my wall, and then I can remember being in bed again, and then waking up the next day and kind of being it was actually quite a scary experience because I don't sleepwalk, so I didn't quite understand what had happened, but I did have bruises on me from whatever happened that night.
So, what be your partner? Is he into the paranormal, or is he get a skeptic, or?
Sorry, you disappeared then. What did you say?
My, my camera's been playing up a couple of times today. I don't know. It might cut out. I'm not too sure. So your partner, is it a kind of joint interest, or is it just yourself?
Yeah, no, he doesn't really pay much attention. He doesn't mind it, but he's not really into all of that sort of stuff. He's been on a couple of investigations with me because I think he'd like to come and for something to happen so that he can kind of have to question the reality of what he's seeing or hearing, I think. So he's been on a couple, but not much has happened. But I think he would definitely come with me on a few more for sure, until I scare him, maybe.
I was just going to say that. So he's never had a scare moment, no?
No,
Never.
but I think that's what he wants as well. He'd like to have that scare moment, so then he can kind of be like, "Oh my god, what was that?" I've shown him light anomalies that I've caught before, and that's kind of made him go, "Oh, that's a bit. I don't understand what that is." But yeah, other than that, he's not really had that many more experience. So I'm hoping that one day when he comes with me, I will be able to scare the absolute bejeebers into him.
I think you said that. Did you not see that in a comment or something at one time as well?
Yeah,
You were
yeah,
wanting
no,
to
like
scare the crap out of him. I'm putting it politely. I remember you saying that because I thought it was quite funny. But that's a while ago. Well, you're still playing the time. After everything, if it's ever over, whatever, over, then I dare say you'll get the chance to take him out. You should take him to the woods. Take him to the
yeah.
witch's wood.
I think it's a brilliant place to do an investigation because they're so atmospheric as well. You not only have you got loads of sounds going on, you've got loads of feelings going on as well. It's just really an atmospheric, good place to have an investigation because it just really gets everything going as well. You're alert, and you can get some really good evidence, I think, from woods as well.
Mm-hmm. Is it a big area? Is it kind of a massive woods or?
It's a fairly big one, but we're in the middle of so many around here. Like, I mean, you've got the forest. There's just so many woods and forests in the area. You wouldn't be able to visit them all in one day. It's Monmouthshire Rolls is kind of like countryside in the middle of woods and forests. So yeah, there's just so many that you can go to. But the particular one where I've gone to is fairly big one. Yeah, it's very strange area, very strange.
Because the two areas that I want to do when excuse me, when we come down is the woods. That's a definite. That's at top of the list for me, and the mansions. I think that'd
Yeah,
be really good. There's also, I think it's an old mill. You put up photographs, and I picked up kids outside, but there was one girl, around about 12, 14 years old, that kind of tends to wander about as well.
yeah, that's literally down the road from me. Literally, because I live in the countryside, so it's literally down the little lane. I've picked up on a girl there as well. She drowned. That's what I get from her, that she drowned. She's fully aware that she died and that she's drowned. I think it's more of a linger thing. I don't know why. But yes, I would love to get in there because it does date back from the 13th century and was used up until 1960 as a workable mill.
Because when I went to the photograph, I did. I picked up on the kids right away. Right, there's just a wee patch of grass at the front of it. I picked up on the kids there. Kind of straight away. So are you into these kind of ghost shows as well? What do you think of the? I usually ask people this their opinion on different ghosts. There's another question for you. Sorry, Rob.
Well, obviously, Haunted Finders are my favourite teams in the world. But the ones that are on telly, I really did used to love Ghost Adventures, but I think that's kind of gone a little bit. It's just not the same as what it used to be. And everything tends to be really demonic all the time and quite dark. So I do like a few of them, but I don't know. It's like you said, it's so hard with TV ones now as well, as things have been coming out, whether it's real, whether it's fake. So I think I enjoy watching ones on YouTube a lot more because I think you get a lot more realism with it. People are less like tend not to fake it as much, and it's a bit more believable than the ones on the telly, maybe.
Because I think for the TV, it's just my opinion. I think for TV, some of them are more drama driven, more effect driven to get results. Basically, there's Meep saying, why don't they scare those who don't believe? I.e., that scare more. I know if I was an entity, I wanted to make a point, then I would make a point. Rules of engagement, maybe. I think the thing it means that I see your partner. Why has he never had a kind of scare moment? If that makes sense.
If you're a spirit, and I believe personally that if you're a spirit, you pass on. You used to be a human or whatever you used to be. You're going to get agitated with people who ask you questions. Maybe you're going to get frustrated with questions. Maybe you don't want to speak to somebody because they don't believe. Maybe it's a psychological connection that you've got in your own head. Thing. You can kind of connect maybe with spirits on a different level as well. You have to be receptive to it, I think.
I think spirits tend to, how can you put it? Again, this is just my opinion, will stick to people who are more open to them. At the end of the day, I think the main thing about spirit is it wants to be noticed. They want somebody to know that they're there, basically. So I think, with Meep's question as well, spirit will tend to attract more to, like, say, yourself or me than it would if you took your partner along.
Yeah.
Because, they see you more as an open door than your partner would be, if that makes sense. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
It's a bit like a radio frequency. I think obviously if you have that frequency, you can connect. And then if you don't, it's harder to connect. I know some people don't believe, some people do, but I think that people do have, maybe they use parts of their brains that other people don't. And I do believe it's all about being able to receive that radio signal that you're obviously going to be able to pick up stuff, i.e. feeling, emotions. You can pick up on spirits. You can pick up on the past. I do believe in that very much so, that it is like a frequency that you're in connection with.
Exactly. No, I get what you mean, dog. Is your photographs, I'll pick up on spirits. Sometimes I pick on maybe stuff that's happened way back, maybe 100, 200, whatever, way back. So, as you say, it's the same way, maybe investigations and what have you. Sometimes you don't just pick up on the spirit. You can, there's a wider, a big range of things you can pick up on. I think. There's the call. Was there ever a moment you get sad in an investigation and you couldn't figure out why?
Yeah, definitely. I think that you can definitely pick stuff from touching things as well. When I went to the Skirridin, they've got an old door. It's not the original door because I just sensed it wasn't the original door, but it's still a very old door. And I really wanted to touch it because I get a lot of memories and flashes of whatever's touched or what energy is in something as well. So you can, I mean, some of the things you found on my photographs as well, when you've said about them, have just blown me away because you're in Scotland and it's just a picture and you've picked up and you've been really accurate about it. So for everybody that says, oh, I don't believe in it, I would also say, well, I've had people that have, like yourself, that have picked up on stuff that they just couldn't have known. Same with Carla and the woman from the mansion, who said when she went, and then you said exactly the same thing. You said exactly the same words, which was Danton Abbey, which is exactly what she said. That's a really big kind of boom. There you go. That's evidence to me, I think, that, there's definitely something going on there because you're in Scotland. You've never even met Carla. And yet you were able to translate to me what she did when we were at the investigation.
It was really, really strong. As I said earlier on to people in the chat, there was a photograph Natalie put up. It was just the side their building, basically. I think there was 2 or 3 windows, but one window really, really struck out, And as you say, I've not been big-headed or anything like that, but as you say, Carly says to you what she picked up there, and I put a comment, and they were exactly the same. And I think that's a hard thing to debunk,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, because, I know what you said, I know what she said, and I know that there's no way that you two have got any communication going. And it was word from word how she said it, that she was snooty, looking down, as well. I even know what hairstyle did you see her having in your image?
I'm not very good with hairstyles, as you can tell. It was pulled back, and a bun at the back kind of thing, straight. That's the only way I can describe it. Straight, kind of.
Yeah.
I know I don't have the same effect.
That's exactly what Carla said. That it was really slick back in a tight brown, dark-haired bun. Not a massive bun, quite a small, tight, compact one. But yeah, that's exactly how she described her. Kind of looking out the windows to say, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. She said, very Downton Abbey kind of feeling, which then, was what you said as well.
And she was looking down her nose, that kind of, I can't do it. But
that's exactly what Carla said, that she was looking down her nose at her. Made her feel very uncomfortable, actually.
It did. It was quite an eerie feeling that came off the picture. I mean, I don't get freaked out by that picture. But as soon as I looked at it, I was flicking through Facebook and, I seen your post. As soon as I looked at that picture, I went straight to that window. There's a woman at that window with snouty nose and right down. It was so I can imagine actually being there, standing at the window, standing underneath the window, would have been quite, I don't know how to describe it, quite a powerful feeling, basically, because she did come across as quite a strong spirit. I know I was only looking at the photograph, but that's what I got off her. She was quite strong and No,
She is.
I wouldn't say she was negative. I would say she was more grumpy, more snooty.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
definitely.
mean?
The place is such a historical place. And it's an amazing place to go because you don't ever feel like there's anything negative there, but like you said, we have the one spirit there, which is the caretaker, which I pick up on every time I go there, and he's very grumpy, and he'll kind of like hang around us for a bit. He might make himself known with noises that you'll hear from him as well. But yeah, he is a generally grumpy person because I feel like he doesn't like people, what you do in here, you shouldn't be on this land kind of vibe going on. But yeah, it's very close.
Sorry, Rob, that's what I got off him. Was I think he says he wasn't a bad soul. He wasn't negative. He's just you're kind of grumpy old man kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
definitely.
the best way I can describe it. I got a couple of questions here that have been. You see my shot where we go one through the call.
Do you use objects other than devices? I've got the little ghost ball one that I made that I take.
The wee white one.
Yeah, and I'm getting 2 little pumpkin ones as well. So I do use them. I kind of like trying to switch it up and figure out what I like using at the moment because I think there's so much stuff out there that and some of it can be quite expensive. So I'm trying to kind of make my own sort of stuff as well a little bit because I just think as well you've got to find your niche in what bit of equipment works for you, because I think some of them, I don't know why, like my EVPs, I always get really good EVPs, and I really enjoy using it because I don't think you can argue with an EVP. You can't really say that it hasn't been said if it has been said. But yeah, I haven't got any really expensive ones. I just tend to make my own.
I've seen the way. I thought it was a teddy or a snowman or something. It looked like the first time I seen it.
Yeah.
And one of the photographs was a wee snowman or something.
Yeah, hang on. What I've got is this one here. Can you see it?
That's the one. Aye.
That's quite cute.
And then obviously it flashes. Which, yeah, is basically the concept of a lot of other toys that are out there. But I'm not loaded and I don't have a lot of money, so I kind of just try and put my own stuff together. So these are the little pumpkins that I'm going to be putting some other balls in as well.
Oh, look, that's so cute.
So that's the toys I've got anyway.
Gillian I saw a comment for Gillian said about your eyes and ears about the best instrument. I mean, you're just saying about gadgets and what have you there. Aye, there is there. The best for versatile instruments. Sorry, Gillian, meant investigations. Do you think as I say, you've got your K2 meters, your laser pens, all the toys and whistles, basically. What do you think the best thing is for picking up spirit? Do you think it's your senses or the gadgets?
Yeah, it is definitely, because I think if you're kind of into it in the different way, like you've got paranormal investigators that just tend to use equipment, and then paranormal investigators which are a little bit more on the empath side or mediums. I think using yourself as your best tool, like she said, your eyes and ears and stuff, because you can sense them as well, can't you then? The emotions and the feelings or flashes, whatever they give you. So yeah, I do find myself, sometimes I'll go in places and I'll think, well, there's just nothing here and we'll have nothing. And then sometimes I'll go to places and think we're in for a good night, and we do have a good night.
I know exactly what you mean. You do. Sometimes you get that as soon as you hit a place. It's happened to us in Greyfriars. We went to Greyfriars one night. We've been to Greyfriars. Don't have the lost count of times we've been. Just before we come in the Coles question, And there was one night we went, I think it was a 3 a.m. investigation we were doing, and Sarah was standing just in front of the Mackenzie tomb, and she said, I'll let Sarah tell you, in fact.
So I was standing in front of the Mackenzie tomb, but I had my back to a gravestone, and it was really warm in front of me. So I shouted Scott over, and then when he came over and stood in front of me, the temperature went back to normal, but the minute that he moved away, it got really hot again. It was so weird.
Yeah.
But when I went over, I picked up on a male standing just a few feet to where Sarah was. And he was just standing looking, basically. He wasn't doing it, he was just standing looking. But as you say, sometimes, your eyes and ears are the best senses, and your other senses as well. Because I picked up on him straight away. Have you ever been, sorry, I'll get Nicole's question first, since paranormal started a fashion, there's so many haunted items on sale online. What are your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't personally get a haunted item myself, because you don't know what's happened, you don't know where it's been, you don't know what energy it's holding. So I mean, a lot of people probably lie about it as well, as a cash cow, as they call it. But I personally wouldn't get a haunted item from somebody, because it would go against my witch instincts of bringing something in which I don't understand, unless there was some spell that I could do to kind of like break whatever needed to be broken. I personally wouldn't ever take a haunted item off of somebody, because I just wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. So I was going to say that, have you ever went to a location and just got a feeling of a really negative vibe from that location?
Yeah, definitely. There's a church in my village where I live, and I went on an investigation with two other people, and when we went into it, it was a very strange investigation. I personally didn't want to be at the back, and I felt very uneasy when we got round a Pacific corner, and then we could hear tapping. It took ages through trying to debunk where this tapping was coming from, but it was coming from the church window from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And when we actually decided to stop doing everything, we wasn't even doing anything. We were just staring at this church. We decided to stop. It was just too weird. We needed to leave. And we'd been stood there for like probably 45 minutes, not realizing that it was 45 minutes. As soon as we all got out of the church, we all looked at each other with a sigh of relief, and we all turned around to each other and said that we had the most uneasy feeling in there. Nobody wanted to be at the back of the queue. We just felt very, get out.
Mm-hmm.
Do not want you here. Why here? It was the weirdest experience I think I've ever had. In a place which has made me just feel, not just feel, but get lost in time, if you can understand what I mean. The repression there was just so intense that I actually lost track of how long I was standing there. I thought it was 10 minutes, but we'd been stood there for 45 minutes just staring at nothing, basically. Hadn't recorded anything, hadn't done any EVPs. It was just a very surreal feeling. Didn't actually go back to the church for a long time after that, because the feeling was so intense.
I know exactly what you mean about the lost time. I mean, I love Greyfriars. We talk about it quite a bit, I will admit. And I've been to Edinburgh many times myself. And I remember one day I went, and every time I go to Edinburgh, I always feel this pull towards Greyfriars. You know, I always need to go regardless, even if it's 10 minutes. I always feel I need to go. One day I went, I was sitting on a bench, and it seemed like maybe half an hour. But it was like 3 hours. I looked at my phone, it was like 3 hours I'd been sitting there. You know, it just went whoosh, just flew by. And as I say, it seemed like about 30, and I looked at my phone, I was like, well, I'm not going to say what I said, but, you know, I was kind of surprised. 3 hours. So it did just totally disappear. And if you'd asked me, you know what happened, what were you thinking? I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. It's like
You just,
a nothingness. Yeah, definitely. there's you don't realise how much time you've spent there, and there's no memory of anything that you've spent thinking on that time that you've been there. It feels like you've been there for a short time, but you've been there for a while.
Exactly, and there wasn't anything. I remember there wasn't anything negative. I've never ever felt anything negative in Greyfriars, even besides his reputation. But I do, I remember what I walked back down to get the bus, and you're going over and over it in your head, thinking, "What have I done for the last 3 hours?" I'm not saying I was abducted by aliens or anything, nuts like that. But you're thinking, where did that time go? Where did the 3 hours go? And it was really, really bizarre. We did get a really negative feeling at Canning Gate Kirk, which is at the bottom end of the Royal Mile in Edinburgh. One night we went, and it was just as soon as we walked in, Sarah picked up more than anybody, I think. This is really, really... We'd been there a couple of times and it'd been fine. But it's really, really heavy, as you say, I don't want you here feel. I still done a small walk around with the camera, but it was really kind of oppressive, I have to say, bugger off, we don't want you here, kind of thing. So we left, I think it lasted 15 minutes and we were off. But what's your big attraction with Graveyard? All your comments, you say, you're a spooky person and what have you, and you love graveyards. What's kind of got you into loving graveyards? Because you seem to kind of worship graveyards, for want of a better word. I would say I love graveyards myself. What's the kind of attraction?
I've always loved graveyards. When I was small, I would skive school, which is very naughty. If there's any kids watching, don't skive. And I would go to the graveyards because I would always love, and always still do love, to go and read the names of the people when they were alive. Because for me, it's always been a memory of them. So you're breathing life back into somebody who could have died in the 18th century. It's always fascinated me. I just adore graveyards. I find them the most peaceful places in the world, and they can also be the most spooky places in the world. But yeah, I've always had fascination with them. I just do. I went to the one in Bristol. My friend Carla took me over there, Arnos Vale, and it was actually opened when Queen Victoria was sat on the throne, and it's just the most beautiful graveyard I've ever been to. It's so old and so big that it's actually in a wood as well, so you get to walk. There's woods and graves in the same, which I just think is beautiful and amazing. I don't know why I like graveyards already. I think it's probably my witchy side. I just find them a very spiritually calming place to be.
No, you're right. You and I are so much alike in that respect. I love graveyards, and they're very, very relaxing. I say Greyfriars again has got the reputation the most haunted graveyard in the world, basically, and you hear all the stories, don't go, but you walk in the gate and it's a different stepping back in time. It's a total, and it's the same as every cemetery graveyard I've been to. It's just a total relaxing feeling. And it is some of them, a couple of people say to me, how can you find graveyards beautiful? You're nuts. But actually, they're quite beautiful. This is, as you say, with the trees combined with the headstones. And again, each headstone tells a story. Each headstone represents a person that once walked this earth, basically.
Yeah, I think with graveyards as well, I can... when I went to the one in Arnos Vale, I've never gone into a graveyard before and had such a pull of energy wanting to pull me one way, energy wanting to pull me another. Very excitable energies as well. They seem to be very happy, and I was in absolute awe of the place. But yeah, they are a very connectual place to be. I do like to go and speak to the people that I'm speaking to on the gravestones, because like the one on in the Skirrid Inn, when you've got the grave of Fanny, and I just thought it was amazing that all these hundreds of years after her death, that people will come and speak to her still, and that people know who she is hundreds of years after her death, which I think is an amazing thing, that this person has died so long ago but is still very much alive today in 2020.
I still very much remembered, and I don't know exactly what you mean. I remember going to a graveyard once. It was a massive big. It was a family plot, and I stood and I read all the names and the dates and stuff, and it took me a wee while. But you can put it together. You can put a part of that family's life together. You know, like the mother died first, and then one of the sons died, and then a daughter died, then the father died, and you think, well, I wonder why they died first. Was it disease? You know, was it some kind of illness? And so a lot of people maybe just walk by a headstone and think, oh, that's lovely, and keep going. But see, if you actually stand and look at them and read them, you can sometimes work out, you know, that person's life. Or, as I say, in a family plot, you can work out, you know, who died when and ages, and they say, oh, he died quite young, kind of thing. And it really is. I love that. I love graveyards. Absolutely love them. There's the quote. I think Nicole's got a question for you.
We're quite lucky where I live. There are literally, you cannot move for little churches in the middle of nowhere. So there are so many churches around here. So many graveyards. Some of them massive, some of them tiny. So yeah, very, very, very good place for me to go out doing what I love in this area. Definitely.
Yeah, really lucky. Where you live, you're sort of loaded with history. That one you were talking about there, where you went in and there was, you know, you felt getting pulled from one end to another. To me, that sounds as if, and I might be wrong, to me that sounds as if the spirits were happy to see you. You know, when you walk in, you get a bunch of kids maybe, and they're all wanting your attention. You know.
Oh yeah, definitely. There was quite a lot of spirits, but there was one man in particular, and I would say he was from the 1920s when he died. But yeah, he was definitely enthusiastic, and he was kind of really trying to grab my hand and pull me this way and show me this, and you know, look at this and look at that. Because in this graveyard in Honest Vale, you know, you only get buried there if you've got a lot of money. So back in the day, it would have been the place to be buried, I suppose. So yeah, it's a lot of really grand, extravagant, Gothic gravestones and stuff up there. But yeah, definitely a lot of energy, a lot of excitement to show me. I don't know whether the spirits knew that, oh, this girl loves graveyards, let's show her the best graveyard ever. But that's definitely the sense I got from the spirits, that they were kind of like, come on, we have got so much to show you.
I just want kind of nursery, you know, I want to show you this, I want to show you that. You can practically feel them grabbing hold of your hand and, you know, saying, like, no, this way. And you can imagine maybe arguing amongst ourselves, you know, I want her first, no, I want her first, you know, that kind of thing. Do you do people's houses?
What it felt like, to be honest with you, yeah, definitely. I literally can't wait to go back there again. We're supposed to do a Halloween special there. But obviously because of COVID and lockdown and everything, we weren't able to go back, which we were really devastated about, because we both, like Carla loves it and she took me and I just fell in love with it. And yeah, we was devastated we couldn't go back and do our Halloween special there, along with all the other Halloween stuff we didn't get to do as well.
I know it's a big kind of Halloween. We were going to do a live investigation in Edinburgh and what have you for Halloween, and just had to, you know, bin it for now, basically. We ended up doing a special Halloween live on the Saturday and the Sunday. You should maybe keep that graveyard one for when we come down. I'm looking forward to meeting Carly, to be honest with you. Also, I'm looking forward to meeting you,
really
but
great.
you know.
So she's definitely all about the spooky life. Like I said, she's a very good medium. So yeah, she is. I'm so happy that I've met her, and we're able to do everything that we do. Like I said before, when we work together, the energy is so strong as well. It's really good. I've worked with someone before that didn't really have too much of a kinetic connection. Not to say they were bad or anything, they were fine. But obviously, working with somebody who does have a kinetic connection is I think it amplifies everything, definitely.
Well, we've got a few investigations lined up here as well. We've a couple of teams, and you know, people on their teams are psychic as well. So I'm looking forward to kind of working with them. I'm looking forward to working with yourself as well. I think it's going to be a pretty amazing visit down to Chepstow.
I think, yeah, definitely you will like it because there's a lot of history here. But yeah, this year's just been. I was supposed to have haunted finders were supposed to come down, and we were supposed to do a couple of investigations. Supposed to be going up to this big mansion for Halloween as well. The Skirrid has been cancelled today. Literally, I woke up this morning to a message.
I was going to ask you about the Skirrid, what was happening with it.
That's been cancelled now, so I'll have to rebook that. Pretty much gonna just not. Yeah, if it's an investigation this year, it's going to be outside. There won't be any inside ones, I don't think, till next year because everyone we have booked or we would go into has just been cancelled anyway. So, yeah, outside investigations it will be, which is a bit rubbish with the weather and living in Wales because it's always raining. But
well, the last time I was in Wales, it was a heat wave. I was down for a week in Cwmbran, and you think I'd been in Tenerife. I mean, it was absolutely, it must be the high 30s or something. You know, I was going between Cwmbran, I was going to see Carlisle, Cwmbran and Cardiff and what have you. And, oh, I loved it. I actually loved it. And the funny thing was, the guy I was doing visiting was a mate. He was a rugby player. You know, as you know, rugby's huge in Wales. And he took me to the rugby club one night, you know, for a drink and that. And the team, everybody was there. People kept coming up and they didn't want to talk to me. They just wanted me to swear at them, which I found rather strange.
Yeah, sounds like the Welsh. If someone comes in with a different accent, yeah, I like to ask them to do the different ones.
I don't, you know, nobody actually says to me, so where are you from? What do you do for a living? Or, you know, the usual stuff. They was just, you know, going to say this to me, going to say that to me. What? And I'd say, Robert, the guy's name was, I says, they just don't want me to swear. Nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants a conversation. They just want me to swear at them. You know, it was sort of beautiful people, but really, really friendly, but quite strange at times. I must admit, they were quite strange. Just say this to me, call me a name. Fine, you're a... Oh, that's excellent. You know, we're all happy. But no, I say it was a heat wave when I was down. It was absolutely beautiful. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. So Nicole's asking, do you ever investigate people's houses?
I did an investigation in someone's house probably about a month ago now. Their father had passed away, so we went over to their house. I'm starting to do a little bit more house investigations because, you know, that's where the experience comes in as well, I think. And plus, I think with house investigations, you can try and help a bit more, maybe if there's something that needs to cross over. I have a friend in Cardiff who's having problems with something in her house. So obviously after lockdown and everything's kind of been, because Cardiff was in lockdown for weeks before we went in to a proper lockdown. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going over there when everything's calmed down and going to see, because she actually showed me a very interesting photograph that she took. And you can see in the TV, you can see a little boy. You can see it clear as day. So I've only done a couple, but I'm definitely looking into doing more.
If you've still got the photograph, if you want to send it to me, I can have a look at it as well. If you want,
I'll message her and ask if it's what to show you as well, and then yeah, you can see what you can pick up on it, because she's just told me that whatever it is likes her son and connects with her son a lot. But she's not happy with it. She's not feeling very good about it. So I think, yeah, I definitely need to go there and see what kind of feelings I get from it.
No, definitely. As I say, if the lady's all right with it, then by all means you can send me the photograph and, you know, see if I get anything for it. See, that's the time with the lockdown where we can't get into people's houses. We've got a friend, she stays literally 10 minutes from us. She's wanting us to do an investigation in her house, and I'm dying to do it. We're going to do it as a live, and we're getting Through the Veil Paranormal to come on the panel as well. So we're tuning at the bit to do it, as you are as well, you know, investigations. but it's just getting into people's houses. You know, it's just
because I think if you're doing it as well, sometimes you do it and you don't record because obviously they might not want you to. So it's even better if you can record and get that evidence there. But yeah, it's definitely something to get into a lot, as well as going outside, as well as the other stuff, because I think it's it's the personal experience of it as well, isn't it? I think when you're into doing paranormal investigating and stuff like that, you want to kind of grow yourself as well and have that experience of being able to either, like I said, just communicate or help, especially with a family if they've got problems going on in their house as well.
It's it's experiences. That's what I love about the paranormal. You could be at it for decades and never actually learn anything. It's not like one of these subjects where you learn everything maybe in a year for talking sake, and then that's it. There's nothing else to learn. It just kind of dead, excuse the pun. With the paranormal, you're constantly picking, even if it's, from other. That's why I think that's one of the reasons we do quite a lot of interviews, because the amount that I've learned through just doing interviews, is amazing. Talking to different people like yourself, everybody else we've had on. To me, that's all part of investigating as well, as not just hunting for spirits, but learning off the other people that, do
definitely.
the same thing.
I think as well, with paranormal investigating as well, it's for me, what drives me is like I said, even though I've got the witchy vibes and everything, experiences that I've had that I can't explain, I really do like to get the experiences that you can't explain, because really do interest me, and they just give me a lot of fuel for the fire, if you can understand. Because and plus, if you can get in contact with a spirit and actually get them to validate something, I've had an experience at the mansion before where I had the SP7 out and I asked specifically, can you see me? And the voice came through the spirit box and said, yes, you're stood right there. And that for me, I wasn't recording at the time, because there's always most of the times when you get really good stuff, you just aren't recording. But that for me was a good validation that I'd asked a specific question and I got, yes, you're standing right there, clear as day, through the spirit box. So yeah, definitely, I think it's what you learn and you progress with as well, and listening to other people as well.
Exactly, you pick up so much, and as you say, it's great to get that bit of evidence that you feel nobody can debate. I mean, we've done 2 in here, and the first one, I don't know if you want to see it or not. The first one, we got a capture on the laser grid, and we done the investigation the Sunday, and the Monday Sarah noticed it when she was watching it back, and she shouted me in, and I was buzzing, we slowed it right down, whatever, and we had Danny Moss from Haunted Hunts on that night to interview him, and we showed it to him, and he was kind of blown away with it as well. I don't know, Sarah can show you or not, but it's that one piece of evidence. I mean, after we seen that, we looked around the living room for anything that could have caused it at the time, but there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing. And we've got the footage of the camera, but we get the webcam footage as well, because we were on a live at the time. So we get the webcam footage to show that Sarah and I never ever moved, and there was nobody else in the room, basically. I don't know if Sarah's going to put it up for you or not. I know it sounds like bragging, but it's not really bragging. I think it's always good to, if you get a capture, you get something to share it.
If you find something, it's really exciting, isn't it? You really are enjoying it. So. Oh wow.
That was it. That was it slowed down, but in real time, Scott my throat's giving me jipping night. In real time, it's less than a second. It's like that gone, you know, Sarah to slow it right down. I don't know if you caught it or not.
Yeah, I did. I saw it right at the end there, and then it just hooked in.
You see,
But
so
I love it when you go back through your stuff and then you find something that you either haven't seen at the time or something that you thought you might have heard or saw, and then it's confirmed. You know, it's a real big bug, because that's what you're looking for at the end of the day, isn't it? That's what you're trying to find. You're trying to find some evidence to be able to go, wow, look at this. You know,
yeah,
this is what I found. So yeah, but I think everybody who's in the paranormal field should feel good about getting excited about that, because that's why you're doing it. And I don't think anybody should ever feel, you know, bad, because you do get a lot of you know, you can have some really good evidence and feel really good about it, and then somebody will come in and go, oh no, it's a fly, it's this and it's that, and you're thinking, well, I've debunked everything that it could be. I caught a fantastic orb. It was amazing. When I'm watching it on the camera, when I'm filming, I'm looking at this space where this orb is, and there is nothing there. I'm looking for dust, I'm looking for hair, I'm looking for flies, I'm looking for bugs. There's nothing there. And this orb comes down, and then it changes shapes as it's moving, and then it flies up into the ceiling and disappears. You know, like I said, we were all there. We were all like, right, there's nothing there. We can't see anything. There it is. But we still had people telling us that it wasn't real. It was a bug. I mean, you know, it was a huge orb. So if it was a bug, you would have seen it with your eyes. Because when you're a paranormal investigator, you know how to debunk.
yeah,
You know,
you do.
it could be first, don't you? And I think it does get disheartening when people go, no, I'm sorry, I don't believe that's what you think it is.
Are you playing that again, Sarah?
Because Andy play that in slow motion again and watch its hand. I'm sure it waves by just before it goes. Oh
yeah. Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Cheeky wee spirit.
I know, you always see, look, you got found out some new bits about it. That's the good thing about paranormal investigating.
I never noticed.
If you watch the real spot watch, it puts its hand back and kind of.
Oh, the wiggle.
Aye.
All right, thanks, Andy. Can I wiggle with that?
Aye, kind of like.
All right, okay.
Go away, leave me alone, kind of thing.
Thank you, Andy, for that. I never have noticed that. I mean, we've got the cat balls as well. We've got the cat balls go off when Sarah and I were sitting at the computer. And then there's one night we set up the camera just behind Sarah and we went to her bed. And we just left the camera running with the cat balls on a chair behind them. And it was only like 6.5 minutes in, one of the cat balls went off. You know, and it's stuff like that, as you say, you can't debunk it because there was nobody there.
Yeah.
You know, and you do get that buzz. I know the buzz I got. It's not the same buzz as you get in that when when I seen that the laser grid, you get this kind of tingling feeling. You know, you can got something basically. You know.
Yeah, no, it is true. Like, you know, that's what you live on. Like, literally, if there was a dark corridor with a scary room at the end and somebody had to go down it and sit in there on its own, I'm that person. I will go down there and I will quite happily sit on my own because I want to have the experience. And I think sometimes as well, with paranormal investigating, if you go somewhere, you've got to go back a few times to get a rapport up with spirits. And the more you go back, the more you get. The more you can confirm with them as well, which is also good for evidence and, you know, for your catalogue of information. But yeah, I do definitely think that going back to places gives you a good connection as well, so that you can get kind of more. I mean, the mansion, every time I've gone back there, I've got more and more and more and more. You'd think after going, I mean, I've gone to places and got a little bit and then gone back there again and not got really so much. But then I've been to places which just, you know, every time you go, it's just more and more and more. They've got something new comes up. You've got more evidence, which is really good evidence as well.
To me, I mean, I always compare it to real life, but at the end of the day, spirits were, I don't know what's going on there.
That's the one you're talking about, Scott. The one where we kept the camera on. We were in bed and the cat bulb goes off.
And it goes all blue. Lines go funny there.
See, it just goes off on its own.
I was sitting on a cushion, there's absolutely no vibrations or anything, so
Yeah.
I was only
Them as well, don't you, to get them to flash, so they don't go off unless they're moved.
so there was only one that went off, but just I was, as you were saying, the more you get back to a place, the more you get. I totally believe that as well, because to me, spirits were people at one time. And you know yourself, if you go to a new place, the odd person might say hello to you, and then that's it. But if you keep going back to the same place, in life, more people start to, because they get to know your face. And
Exactly.
I believe spirits are the exact same. They'll remember certain people, and they'll remember more if that person is more open to spirit than somebody else. So it'll sound totally nuts, but they might say, "That's Nat. I remember her the last time she was here." That kind of, along those kind of lines. And so we get Greyfriars many, many, many times, but no, I think it is important to keep going back, and the more you get back, the more you gather. Right? So obviously, I mean, you do tons in the paranormal, and so your witchy stuff. How do you fit it all in?
I don't know.
I wonder that as well.
Because I got the two jobs, paranormal, witching stuff. It's just try and fit it in as much as I can, really. I try and go ghost hunting at least once or twice a week. Yeah, witchy life is life anyway, every way. So I can live that in my normal everyday life. It's fine. But it is quite hard. It is hard putting all that effort into doing the work, the videos, the pictures, the posting on the, on the internet and everything on my pages. It is hard work to keep doing it on top of being a parent as well, and all of the other things you have to do. It is hard work. It really is, and I don't know how I fit it in. I suppose it's because I like it so much that I make sure I fit it in.
Yes, I've wondered that, because you do an awful lot, and obviously you get the kids, you get work, you get your partner as well. I keep saying partner. I don't know if you're married or what. I just say partner. I think that's the safest bet.
Yeah, not married yet.
Partner. So I've always wondered that, because I do pay a lot of attention to your page and your videos. I say, well, excuse the French, how the fuck does she fit it all in? I'm being, basically honest with you. There's Jillian got a wee question for you. I just noticed it pop up there.
I live in South Wales, I live in Chepstow, which is in the Monmouthshire Rolls. A very, very beautiful part of Wales, to be fair. It's probably, apart from Pembrokeshire and a few other places, it's one of the top places in Wales. Just very beautiful, very historical. I've got Castle down the road from me, both ways, which is like 2 minutes down the road. It's just a very nice place to live. Kind of on the border town of England. So you've got the River Severn, with the two bridges, and I'm kind of like situated on the end of there.
Jelly, go check her page out, because you see all the photographs. She's got tons and tons of photographs, and they're all beautiful. It's all obviously around their own area and outside, but the photographs are amazing, and a lot of the photographs you can just sense the history in them. It's never something I've been good at, is taking photographs. I've took some, but they're crap. I think it's a gift you need to have. A kind of knack.
I've never really thought I had a gift before, but a couple of people have said, "Oh, you." But then I do get myself into funny positions, like I'm well known in my village when I first started, people would look at me funny, but now if they see me hanging upside down taking a photograph of something, it doesn't bother them anymore, because sometimes you do have to get in weird angles to capture what I want to see in my brain. But yeah, I do like to take, I think part of ghosting is history as well. So I do like to take a lot of pictures of history, because I think that's really important. And I do infatuated with history. I find it very interesting. It stimulates my brain normally. And I just think, yeah, that's why I take a lot of pictures as well for the Ghost Rambling, because I just think you've got to bring that history in for everyone to have a look at, really. You can get a bit of information about it as well to put up with it. That's even better.
Why the name Ghost Ramblers?
Because loves the countryside, loves to be out in the wilderness, in the woods. That's my place to be if I'm feeling whatever. So that was why the Rambling. It was actually called something else before, but it was a bit of a mouthful. We didn't really know what we were going to call it anyway. So yeah, that's where the Ghost Rambler comes from. Kind of meets the two together, the ghosts, history, and rambling in one. So yeah, that's why I picked the Ghost Ramblers.
You were just talking about the history, side. I was going to ask you about how important you think history is in the paranormal. But obviously, you've just said so. It's a big part. I think I love history as well. I love, like Pendle Hill, Tudors, stuff like that, and a lot more history. So I think history plays a big part in the paranormal, because you do need to know the background. I've seen quite a lot of teams programs as well. People go to locations and they tell you nothing about the location. You just say, we're at a castle, and that's it. They don't tell you where it is, or a wee bit of history behind it, or it was built in 1100 or something. And I think it's important to get that blend, that mixture of the history. I know I'm bragging at because we're paranormal in history, but to get the two of them together.
Definitely. I think you need to know a bit about the history to understand. I'm very infatuated with history, I think, because I pick up on a lot of spirits and I pick up on a lot of memories by touch and however else I get them. So I have an excessive need to know history, to kind of understand the feelings and the thoughts and the pictures that I get and receive. And plus, history is a very important thing, because you can't learn and progress in the future if you don't understand your history. You don't understand the ins and outs of it, of where you've gone wrong and right. And I just think, it's like any good ghost story. You've got to have your history in there. You've got to have a little bit of something behind it, whether it's spooky or not spooky, sad, terrifying, whatever it is. You've got to have a bit of history.
So you've got quite an inquisitive and inquiring mind then?
Yes, definitely, 100%.
You're not one of these nosy people like at the supermarket or something like that. You kind of, always want to know what's going on.
Oh no, I don't particularly like to hang about people too much. I prefer to be out in nature and get my history from there and stuff. I don't tend to like to be around people too much, because there's just too much going on with emotions and feelings and vibes. So I try to. That's probably why I like the woods a lot and the nature, because it's very peaceful and quiet and tranquil.
It's good to. I used to live in Glasgow. Wasn't it right in the middle of Glasgow? It was kind of the outskirts of Glasgow, but it was kind of busy at times, and it was good just to, jump in the car. I used to be a truck driver years ago, and every Wednesday I would do a north run, and about 80% of it was out in the middle of nowhere. Because in Scotland, when you get by Perth, there's nothing there. It's empty. And I used to, my run would take me about 10 hours, and it was through like the Cairn Gorms, going round Aberdeen, just the countryside, and it was great just you felt that escape. There was nothing around you. And
yeah, I do. it is the best life. I think I could never live in a city or anywhere like that. I have to live. I have to live
Mhm.
in nature. I think. Well, I'm a
Yeah.
Capricorn, so it's an Earth sign as well. Yes, I'm very in tune with nature, and woods are my favourite place to be. So yeah,
Mhm.
I definitely couldn't live in Crete City. I need to have Mother Nature very close to me.
Yeah, you need to be outdoors. So your paranormal, your photography, and your witchy stuff. Do you have a favourite?
Um, I think they all on the same par and level, really. Which, like I said, the witch life is just kind of it's in my life anyway. I come from like a family of it's been down from the lines. We've all got different abilities. We can all do different things. Not everybody in my family has quite embraced it, but we all do specifically have different kind of things. That kind of goes in with my life anyway. But I don't know. I think it all just goes in hand together. That's probably why I like it so much and why it's perfect for me and why I enjoy doing what I do, because it's kind of a mixture of all of my favorite things. Boom in one little thing, and I can crack on and get on with it and have some fun.
So how much sleep do you actually get? You know,
Um,
everything you do, your jobs, your kids. I mean, do you ever actually sleep?
I do sleep, but I don't need a lot of it. I used to be suffer from insomnia, so I normally need about 5 hours sleep tops, and I'm good.
Hmm. Because I would imagine you maybe fit in an hour or two, and then that's it. Basically, you- you're up and running again.
Sometimes, sometimes when I get home from work and I've got, because I've obviously got two jobs, so I come home from work and I've got things to do, and then I go to my other job. So sometimes when I get home and I've done all the kids' clothes and I've done the sandwiches for the next day, it can be like 12 o'clock, 12:30, maybe sometimes 1 o'clock. It all depends how long my
Hmm.
jobs take me. So it is a busy life, but you're a long time dead. As the spirits like to tell me, you got to live your best life whilst you can. So
It does. It takes up a lot of your time, and even we do these lives. By the time you come off and you kind of look at the clock, it's like midnight. And you're like, you know, where did the night go? It's just totally gone. And then also us having the wee one, she's still up and down, sometimes one, twice a night. She's up, but as soon as she gets up, she always comes to me. She always shouts me. Never shouts her mum. Don't know why,
lucky you,
but
Sarah.
I think it's because she knows, like, when I go to sleep, I go into quite a deep sleep, so she'd be standing there forever shouting me because I honestly don't hear nothing. But she knows that Scott's not a deep sleeper, so she knows if she says his name once or twice that
He'll get
Dad
up.
gets straight up, whereas Mummy, she's standing waiting. So it's like, oh, I might as well just shout my dad then.
Fair play though. At least you get 12 hours sleep, so it's all good. Sorry,
Yep.
she does. She doesn't go to her sleep, but no, she'll shout me, and it can be we put a TV on at night, and she usually nods off, and I just kind of leave it on during the night, just give that wee bit of light sometimes. But a couple of times she'll shout me, and I'll go in and she'll say, "There's adverts on." She watches a lot of YouTube, the kids ones, and they stick the adverts in because the wee one knows her mum needs a beauty sleep and dad doesn't. Thanks, Nicole. And sometimes she'll shout me to say, "Oh, Dad, there's adverts on," and it's like 2 or 3 in the morning. And so you should be sleeping. And so, yeah, but the adverts woke me up. So when she shouts me, that's me. I'm wide awake. And Sarah wakes up quite often, and I'll be sitting watching YouTube on my phone or something at 2 or 3 in the morning, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm wide awake, you know." And it's just the way you get. So are you definitely going to be doing the Skirridin at some point?
Yeah, definitely. I'll probably be going twice next year because I'm going to one of my friends and then with Carla. Um,
Mm-hmm.
definitely will be going back to Arnos Vale. Want to go up to a couple of mansions as well. We also want to go to, what's it called? I can't remember what the pub is now. But Ancient Ramen as well, because that's supposed to be quite a good one. And I haven't been there, so I want to go and try that. But I think a lot with investigations as well, there's a lot of places inside that you can go, but I think there's some fantastic places outside you can go, because I think spirits are very much tied to the land more than buildings. So yeah, hopefully 2021 will be a better year for all the paranormal investigators, and we'll actually get to go and do some proper investigations, because this year has just been, it's not been the best.
I'd love to do the ramen. I've watched a couple of investigations in it, and you know, they're picked up and stuff. The thing I noticed about the Ram Inn is that John Humphreys. John Humphreys, a guy, he lived there for years. He passed away 2017, I think, something like that. But it was his home for years. The guy was famous. I don't think anybody's ever picked up on him. I would say he would be the most likely person to be there.
Yeah,
you know.
That's if I go there, I want to see if John's there, because I always believe that he had such a strong connection to the place. The one person that I would want to connect with would be John, because I believe that, you know, with him having such a strong connection to the place and living there as he did as well, that I would think he would definitely be there in some kind of form. So yeah, that would be interesting to go and see that. That's one of the reasons why I'd like to go there, is to go and see if John's there still.
Because I really do believe, I say, I've watched a couple of times on it, and people I can pick up a spirit, and I'm always watching it, waiting for, you know, whether it's an EVP, whatever, you know, for the name John, because I'm kind of 100% positive that Andy is Nicole's partner. Andy's a bit of a kidder, by the way. It's all about me, you know. We never really pay much attention to Andy's comments. You know, he just kind of types away. But I really do believe that John is there, you know, and it's just a case of, you know, making that connection.
Are you grounded? Are you a grounded witch? Are you? Yes, I am definitely grounded witch. Definitely earth based. I like my feet on the ground. And yeah, definitely.
So your Halloween, I was thought it's going to sound bad, but I was following you up leading up to Halloween, because you were putting up that many posts, and I think you were on for a few weeks before it. Your pumpkins, your toys, your sweeties, you know, everything that you were doing, you know, and so I took a rough guess that Halloween was a big thing for you, you know.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
And the thing I was wondering, sorry.
Normal. It's the only time I can be my normal self, and people don't question it at all. So yeah, I was walking through the village with my witch's outfit with a massive cape on, and loving every second of
it. Not, you know, I thought it was brilliant. Some of the stuff you were putting up, your photographs and all your wee ideas, what you came together with, the pumpkins and etc. The thing I wanted to ask you was, do you prefer Halloween to Christmas? Being a mum, you know.
Yes. I do like Christmas because of the kids and everything, but yeah, I love Halloween. Halloween's definitely my time of year. And I think as well, with the moon being a blue moon as well, and having a full moon this year, it was extra good for the spiritual energies that were flowing around as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed going out and doing some spell casting on Halloween, and it was good for the sense of for the moon to be out as well.
I did notice it was quite a major thing. Have you ever done an investigation in a place and swore you'd never get back?
I've done an investigation in a place. I did one basically not far from my grandmother's house. It was in a mansion there that was derelict, but the whole time I was there, I just kept hearing the house call me. and I wanted to go and investigate the house that my grandmother lived in. But after I had gone to this mansion that was near the house and I'd had such an intense feel, I felt very, very ill the next day, very drained, very tired. But it was the dream that I had the night before, which really kind of twisted me a bit, because it was about the house that my grandmother lived in. And all the way through my life since she died, I'd always been able to see her in the house and I couldn't get in to get her out. But then in that particular night, after that investigation, I was in the house and I couldn't get out. And I could see people walking up and down, and I was shouting, but I couldn't get out the house. I had another very, very vivid dream about a guy with carts and children and screaming and trying to run away. I even remember what the guy looks like now. That's the only time I ever actually said I'm not ready to go and do an investigation there, because just even being just down the road from it, I had such a pull when I was doing the investigation, and then such a strange night of dreams. That dream of me being stuck in the house did quite shake me up, because it was quite an aggressive dream. It was quite a nasty dream. So I wouldn't go back there, because I feel that whatever is there, I'm definitely not strong enough already for. In a paranormal investigation way or in a witch way, I'm just not strong enough to take on whatever is there. So I don't know if I'll ever go back there again, or whether my curiosity will get the better at me at some stage.
Maybe in a couple of years' time, if you build um, your powers up, whatever, or maybe even get back with somebody else and give it a try. I think I'd be kind of curious. I'd want to get back. Maybe not right away, but
I think whatever's there is it's very strange to explain. It's definitely not nice. It definitely lets you know that it's there, and it definitely is very intimidating, whatever is there, in a very dark, sadistic kind of way. It likes to play with you. It likes to play tricks on your mind. I experienced this all the way through my childhood. I experienced this when I was living there, and I've experienced it. Other people have as well, and it's you walk through the door in that house, and you've got a very big boom in your face, get out. It was very, 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 very impressive. We actually had to move my grandmother out of there at the end, because she didn't want to go, because my mother said she walked into the house and she could sense the house laughing at her, and she heard the house saying, I have her all to myself now. I mean, this place was literally, the walls were bowing, it was crumbling. It was literally like the house was decaying. And this house, I remember being redone when I was about 4 or 5, because I can remember my grandmother living in a caravan in the field, because it was a house with obviously farmland around it. So this house must have been redone in like 1985, 1986. And by 97, we'd had to move her out, because the house was just falling apart around her. So very, very, and it's been rebuilt again now. The house that was originally there isn't there anymore. It's been rebuilt again. So there is a constant pattern of that house being rebuilt, having to be rebuilt again, having to be rebuilt again, on top of everything that's kind of experienced in the house. With basically far off everybody that ever goes there.
So there's a strong chance it is the land. Maybe.
Yeah, definitely in the land. I know that there used to be a monk's abbey on the one side of the River Towin. It's only a very small river, but on the one side is where they used to have the abbey, and on the other side, where my grandmother's house was, is where they used to bury the monks. But I don't really feel like it's much of a monk vibe there. It's just it's very hard to explain, but definitely and connected with the land and the water that's around the land, I think. I can't really interpret it in any way than that. That's just one of the places where I actually don't know. I think I'd have to be quite a lot older to go back there and maybe be able to actually take on what was there, even in a paranormal investigational way, because it's a very it doesn't just affect you physically, it affects you mentally. And like, I do get a lot of dreams. I get futuristic dreams as well that I experience in the night. So for me to have those dreams that I had in the particular way that I did, if you can understand, really did quite scare me, because yeah, it was a very oppressive dream. And you know, I just kept constantly hearing laughter throughout the whole dream, which was the house that was laughing at me basically.
I said, dear, come back. So you say, I was going to ask you about futuristic, but I can't say it. Futuristic dreams. Have you had quite a few of them? You know, and then woke up and something's happened. Do you think, or could it maybe be deja vu?
No, I have so many of them. They happen all the time. Like I said, the women in my family we've all got gifts. My daughter actually told me she had one that my son had eaten a sausage and it got stuck in his throat and he died. And to this day, I will still cut his sausages up tiny, because I know that every dream that I have had has come true. You just have to understand how to interpret the dream, because in the dream you always have a very tall, probably a Grim Reaper looking person, but he's not a bad person. He's always pointing and showing me what he's trying to explain to me in the dream. Sometimes they can be very vivid and I know what they mean straight away, which can be the more traumatic ones, because they tend to emotionally affect you as well as, you dreaming about it. And then other ones I kind of have to figure out. But every dream that I've had, I will quite happily say it. Every single one of them have come true, because that's why I always get so upset by dreams if I have bad ones, because if I know I've seen him in them, then they will 100% come true. And I actually had a conversation with my daughter, because she's the same as me, but it scares her, so she's not so into it. I've had to tell her about spirits a little bit. But she told me about this dream that she had, and she said, Mum, there was this really tall guy in it. And I said, and his hand was like that pointing, and she went white as a sheet. I nearly started crying and said, how did you know that? And I said, because I see the same person in my dreams. So yeah, definitely always listen to my dreams. Like I said, it could be quite upsetting if I do have a very vivid bad one.
But you're it's not a change of topic, but obviously you get the paranormal, etc. And what's your views on kind of spiritualism, mediums, that kind of thing?
Well, obviously being able to pick up on stuff myself. Obviously I know that it's a real thing, but I mean, some people that you do see, I don't know if I believe it. I'm more on the TV side of it, I think, because like I said, it's all about having to trust it, and it's a TV show, so they could be saying all this stuff, but you don't know behind the cameras whether or not they've checked up on it, whether they've researched something on it. But I do believe some people do have real, gifts. If Carla can speak about somebody that has been passed and that she can see him coming in, if a person's going to communicate with me, they tend to come through me and speak from my mouth. I tend to get flashes. I don't get the same as what she gets. So I definitely think, everybody's got their own different abilities, and I'd rather see it on a face-to-face. I think a lot of things on the TV do blow your mind away, but you are left with the feeling of, is it just show or is it real?
Yeah, I get it. I totally get what you mean. You ever help spirits to cross over?
Yes, I do, if I can. If I'm doing an investigation or I'm somewhere and I can hear or I feel personally that I've got a connection with somebody that needs my help. Most of the time it's because they need that guidance of a voice to tell them to go where they need to be. So yeah, I definitely do. If I can help a spirit, I definitely will, because I think it plays on my mind if I don't help them and I know that they needed help. It does play on my mind a lot, because I feel that you're drawn to areas sometimes as well to help people either in the living or in the spirit world. I think you're kind of drawn in to help them to deal with it. We were at an investigation a couple of weeks ago. We were at the mansion, and then out of nowhere, Carla just decided we need to go to this other place. We just need to go there. So we went, and when we went there, there was actually some family people in there. Their dad had just passed. But as soon as we walked in, they were drawn straight to us. They came straight over, started to talk about their dad. And that's the person we went round to their house to do an investigation. And I had their dad with me for about 2 days because I needed to keep telling them that the house that he basically been born in this house, that the house wasn't a memory, that they had to let the house go, because he didn't want them to feel sad, and he didn't want them to be stuck in this house or be so sad from them having to give up this house, because it had been their childhood home, it had been his childhood home. So definitely think spirits can draw you in when they want to. If they need to get a message across and they're that strong, they will draw you into a situation where they can get what they want from you, basically.
I think spirits will use, I mean, I've said this to people before, I think spirits will use whatever way possible to get a message across. You know, it might not be, you know, as you say, the spirit, you know, kind of came to you because he knew you could get through the family. You know, you know, it might not be the spirit goes directly to the family. It could be a friend of a friend or of a friend, and it gets passed on that way. You know, would you think that's the way I tend to think? Spirits will use whatever way they can to get a message across.
Definitely, yeah, 100%. Especially if they're strong enough as well. I've had weird stuff happen on my phone before, where I've been on an investigation and I've come home and there's been a water sound on my phone. So from my phone, you would think that I had a clip on YouTube or something of a river running or it raining. That's the only way I could describe it. But my phone was off. I switched it off. I turned it back on, and the sound was still on my phone. Could still hear it. So yeah, spirits will try and get through any way they can and use anything as well, I think. Because we don't understand what it is. That's why we do what we do, because we're trying to find out. I think it's got a lot to do with radio waves and frequency as well. You know, you just don't know in the realms of paranormal what you could be talking to. You could be speaking to a spirit, or you could be speaking to something from an interdimensional realm. It all depends how far you want to go into it, you know.
But just before we finish up, just what's your thoughts on the Ouija board? Have you ever used the Ouija board?
I have twice. The first time was very scary because I was only 15 and the glass flew across the room, which was my first encounter of the Ouija board. Not being, if you know what you're doing with it, it's fine. But I think that if you communicate with the Ouija board, you're not going to speak to your dead uncle's son's nephew's brother. You're not going to connect with who you want to. What you're doing is opening a portal for somebody to speak to you. Doesn't specifically mean it's going to be demonic or it's going to be evil, but you need to know what you're doing in the senses of that you're not going to get through to your loved ones. Basically, you're opening a portal, and whatever you get is whatever you get. That's why you have to be careful, I think. Not that I think that they're dangerous. I would like to get into doing them myself a bit, but I've got a lot more to learn in the arts and skills of necromancy to be able to do that, I think, because I've experienced the scary side of it. Basically, I've had stuff flying everywhere, and that was reaffirmed to me that there was something going on other than somebody messing about or chucking it, because I saw a glass move and nobody was touching it. So definitely not to be played with by people that don't know what they're doing. And again, for people that have done it and say, well, nothing happened, maybe their energy isn't quite right and they would never be able to open that doorway anyway.
Francis, he's got a Ouija board but not opened it up. He's got a Bible on it. It's something. Yeah,
They
carry on,
depend.
that. Sorry.
It's your interpretation of how scary it is, really. I mean, you can use them as long as you know. I mean, I know quite a few witchy people that do it. I know quite a few of them that use them quite regularly and have no problems because they are speaking to whoever comes through to them, rather than trying to demand. Because obviously, you know, you get ones that laugh and mess around because if they are spirits coming through to you, maybe they want to mess about and play with you because you know you don't know what you're doing, so they're going to mess about and take the mick out of you a little bit. And then also, like I said, with the paranormal, you just don't know what you're opening the portal up to. You just don't know.
Exactly. So it's never a thing I've been interested in, but I'm going to try it because we GSI on the other week, and after everything's finished, basically, we're meeting up with him to do Pendle Hill, and there was John. He was saying that one of the other guys, Ralph, he's got Ouija board. He's used it for years, so they kind of talked me around into giving it a go with him. There's no way I would ever. Not that I'm a chicken, nothing really freaks me out or scares me, but all I say, I'll tell you, is not. I don't think there's anything, apart from the bank balance. That scares you. That's about it, really.
On that one, eh?
Forget what bank balance is these days, don't you? Because we've been locked in that long, you're spending money on crap, basically. Do you know? So he's gonna talk me around to trying it. So I'm going to give it a wee go. But I was watching a video the other night, and you can see quite clear. There's only one person doing it, and you can see quite clearly the one moving the glass. Through the way their fingers were going and what have you. Yeah. People that do this, right? What do you think they're risking? Obviously they're just faking it.
People, I think it's all to do with connections as well. Like I said, if you've got a good connection and you're really into something, then you'll get a lot from it. But I think people who mess around with it, I don't know. I personally wouldn't, because I'm all about balance and balancing everything out, and obviously whatever is given out will be received. So I personally wouldn't mess about with a Ouija board. If I was going to do it, I'd be 100% serious. Wouldn't be scared, because they're not something to be scared of, because you've got to remember that you're only connecting with who is choosing to come through to you. You just have to be very respectful, and you have to close it afterwards. But anybody that does Ouija boards would know that. But yeah, I wouldn't mess about with them, because I've seen the glass move on my own, and it shot across the room, and I just definitely would. Any advice to anyone who's thinking of messing about with it, just don't, because there is something about them, and you shouldn't play with stuff shouldn't play with dead things.
No, I think a lot of time it's teenagers that's maybe had one or two beers at the weekend and decide to, oh, my mum's got a board. Let's go and give it a go, and they'll go and get a glass and start shouting and bawling and, stuff like that. Nicole's saying she's got a tray. I have this tray with some candles on it in the middle of a tiny section. Every morning that angel has moved.
You should maybe maybe put a circle around it just to reaffirm that it's moving. See if you can set a camera up or something as well. Because that's quite interesting if something's moving. Like I found before, if you put something somewhere and it's moved, something has moved it. It's not been moved by anybody else. It's been moved by something.
It used to happen to me. I used to moan flat for, say 9 we've done together, and I'd a bit of a Buddha freak. And I don't know if you call it OCD or not, but I had all my Buddhas, living room, hall, bedroom, and they were all positioned in a certain way. And I knew exactly what way they were. And there was days I'd go out to work, wherever, and come back in, and I'd notice that maybe one or two of my Buddhas had been moved. It might just be the slightest movement, but, it had been moved, kind of thing. So I know what Nicole's. One day I came home and one Buddha had been completely turned around, and I knew it was, it wasn't a joke because I lived myself, so I knew nobody else had sneaked into the flat and started messing about with my Buddhas. But Sarah will tell you I was quite particular about the Buddhas all facing different directions and exactly where they were. So I know exactly what Nicole's. So do you? I know you do your witchy stuff, etc. Have you got an altar and that set up, or?
Yeah, I do have one. It's got my candles on it and my little bits and pieces. I'm a very nature kind of witch, so I like to take a lot of nature into my altar as kind of like like a praise to Mother Nature, because I'm very in tune with her, the moon as well, which is Luna, and then Lilith, which is a bit of a different spin because it's Luna who's light and Lilith, but then I'm a balancing witch, so I think that's why they, that's what I'm into. So yeah, my altar does reflect a lot of nature, twigs, bushes. Like a lot of my spell things that I do as well are all Wicca kind of pendants, stars, which are all made with wood and stuff as well from Mother Nature, because I feel that is the strong witch connection that I have. So that's what's on my altar. Yes. Different coloured candles for different coloured spells, for different coloured emotions, crystals, and all the rest of it, really.
All the toys and whistles, as we say up here.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Haunted Hunts UK have just brought season 3, and it's all about Pendle Hill. And I've been fascinated with Pendle Hill for years and years. And after this is over, we've got a 3-day investigation plan down there. What do you think? Also, you being a witch, what's your thing on Pendle Hill? Is it a place that's always fascinated you? Do you think that they were innocent? Or?
I think they were. Well, they were innocent in one way. I mean, you've got to remember that witches are derived from basically healers, which were women which would know which herbs to use if you were sick, what to bath in, what to use, what berries. They just basically knew all the herbs and spices that could make you better. So they were actually what you would say witches. Where I don't believe that what happened did. I think it was kind of the girl, the daughter, that messed it up for them, who she later then actually was hung herself, and she was accused of being a witch herself. But yeah, it's a really fascinating place.
Yeah,
I would
it was
definitely.
quite ironic. They say, you say we're kind of healers. If you had lived back then, back in 1612 when the trials happened, do you think you would have been in the kind of same boat as them? That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I think women that like to live in cottages, which all witches do like to live in cottages in the countryside. We like to be away from as many people as possible so we can get on with our stuff that we do. Plus, a lot with witching as well. It's a very you can feed off people's emotions and stuff. So being in nature and being tranquil is what we prefer to be. So yeah, definitely. I think I would have been up on a burnt probably for being a witch, because I do, I wear my pendants, I do have my witchy stuff around the house. I'm not openly shy of letting people know that I'm a witch. So I would have been burning, yes, definitely.
You would have been either burning or at the end of a rope. Why do you think the burned witches instead of basically just beheading them? I know in England, they hung them. Scotland they burned them. Why do you think the two were different?
I think because they believed that basically witches were evil and that they were in cahoots with the devil, so that they would burn them, because fire is deemed as cleansing, and burning is you would get cleansed basically, so any evil that was in that person would get burnt away, and then they would have extinguished the problem, so to say.
Yeah, I know they hung some witches. One last question. I think it's something that surrounds Pendle Hill. it's not a major thing, but there's been a lot of talk whether Alice Nutter is actually buried in Church Cemetery graveyard. Do you think she's buried there?
Probably, yeah. Probability is. I suppose it all depends on where she got killed and whether or not they just chucked her in a hole with, because that's what they did back in them days as well, wouldn't it? I shouldn't imagine somebody that was being hung for a witch would have got a gravestone. In all fairness, I think they probably would have just been discarded and got rid of. So I don't know about that. I don't know.
Because there has been, I mean, there's several accounts. One account is because she was, executed as a witch, she couldn't be buried in consecrated ground. But then the other side, there is stories that say because Alice was different from the other witches, as in she came from a kind of better background, that had a wee bit of money, that there was money involved, that people were paid off so they could get her body and bring her back to bury her in the family plot.
I think I have heard that as well. You don't know. You just have to go up there and have a look, I suppose, and see if you can find her anywhere. Because you just don't know until you look, do you?
That's it, exactly. I've loved Pendle Hill for years. It's always, I know it's not the actual hill, it's the area surrounding it. But for some reason, people tend to be attracted to the hill itself, even though nothing happened on the hill. Do you think there's a particular reason for that? Or?
I think the house was situated more at the bottom of the hill, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I think where people say Pendle Hill, they just assume at the top of the hill is where it will happen. But like you said, it's in the ground and in the earth, isn't it? Everything that happened. So yeah, I definitely think you'd get more from the actual ground area of the hill than you would at the top, because you'd have to find out where Denmark Dyke's house was, really, wouldn't you? I think that would be the hot spot of where you would find most activity.
Well, they think they found it. The thing they say where Sadler's Farm is situated, they think that's all the research points to that one of the where Sadler's Farm is. Some people thought it was actually in Newchurch itself, but it's all the evidence is kind of pointing to Sadler's Farm. When we go down, we're going to go to, you've got Lower Wellhead Farm, you've got Sadler's Farm, you've got the cemetery, but there is a lot of different locations round about Pendle that have never been investigated. That's the areas I want to do. We've got a friend who stays. You can look out his bedroom window and see Pendle Hill. And so he's told us that there is quite a lot of locations that nobody's investigated down there. That's the places I want to go to.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah, definitely. I think it's always good to find a new place that people haven't been as well. Definitely. I think with paranormal investigating, you can get into it and you can do all the places that everyone else does, or you can do all the places that everyone else does and also find your own little places to investigate. Which you should definitely go for that and do it, definitely.
Obviously I'm going to go to Wellhead, take photographs, so I'm going to go to the usual places, take photograph, video a wee bit, but actual investigations, I think it'd be worthwhile going to different places, and maybe just, I've said to Sarah, just chapping on some doors and asking, can we investigate here? Near me, Pendle Hill, nothing there. John says nothing there. Do you mean on the actual hill, Gillian, or in the area itself? Surrounding areas, Gillian. I think it will be. We are looking forward to it, and then we go down to Nottingham with GSI, and it's a bit of a road trip actually. It's a bit of paranormal history on the road, whatever you want to call it. Do you know what I mean? Because then, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to be heading down your direction as well. So we're all where they hung the witches. That's active. That was at Lancaster. They were hung at Lancaster, weren't they? With the castle.
Yeah, what, here or?
No, the witches, the Pendle witches were actually hung. See, originally, way back, I thought the witches were hung on the hill.
No, they were. They were. Yeah, they were in a castle, weren't they? Because they were in the castle for a long time before they were hung, I think.
Because Elizabeth Demdike, she never made it to trial. She died in the.
Yeah, she died in the castle, didn't she? Yeah, in the dungeon.
In the dungeons, you know what I mean? But no, we're certainly looking forward to it. But I think we're going to wind up because that's just over the 2 hours now. If you can just stay on the panels a wee second or two, Nat, after we come off, that'd be great, Bill.
Yeah,
is that all right?
Yeah.
Right, so thanks very much for coming in, folks. Remember, go to Nat's channel, YouTube, and our Facebook page, and drop her a wee sub on our Facebook page. And not a sub on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, not Facebook.
Yeah, join the Ghost Ramble fun.
Our photographs are outstanding, all our posts are outstanding, especially our photographs. So enjoy. Thanks very much for coming in, and enjoy the rest of your evening, and stay safe.
Much.
Bye.